Hey everybody, it's T Shoni. All right, quick message, big message. Okay, so how about we normalize confronting the enemy when we see the enemy using people in our everyday lives? Okay, because there's a lot of situations that can arise in our everyday life that is under the manipulation of the enemy. All right. Now, when we do that, we have to combat what the enemy is doing. First of all, you have to have some spiritual awareness, all right? Have that relationship with God so you can see these things when they're happening and you might recognize these situations, okay? And then call them out. Call out the enemy. Let him know, I see you. I see what you're doing and you're not going to win. And you pray for that person. Now, when we recognize this enemy and we normalize confronting the enemy in our everyday life, now the enemy can be using somebody that's close to us that does not mean us any harm. That person does not mean us any harm, but the enemy has attached himself to that person so they can hurt us. Okay, but so now we're going to call the enemy out, but at the same time, we're not going to hate that person that the enemy is using, because really in actuality, that person is a victim as well. So now there's two victims, one enemy in this situation. So in book of Matthew, it talks about the wolves in sheep's clothing. Now they talk about the prophets that are out there misguiding people, giving them the false word and all of these things. Now those people have intentions on hurting people, okay? Now when the enemy is using somebody, that's a different type of wolf in sheep's clothing, because the enemy is a wolf and the person is truly a sheep because they're not trying to hurt you. But the enemy has attached himself to that person so they can hurt you. So we're not attacking that person. We're attacking that spiritual enemy. Okay, we are going to pray for that person. We're going to ask God to deliver that person from that stronghold. And if that person is willing to listen, we're going to talk to that person. We're going to pray with that person. All right. And we're not going to go gossip about that person. We're just going to move accordingly. If you got to call on some spiritual prayer warriors, do that, because you're in a spiritual battle at this point. But we are going to call that thing out. We're going to tell Satan, you're not going to win. And we're going to normalize this thing. We're going to talk to our people. We're going to talk to our other spiritual sisters and brothers in Christ. All right. And we're not going to hate anybody, because God said for sure, love thy enemy. And that person, like I said, they're not trying to be your enemy. And this could be anybody, an adult, a child, man, woman, anybody. But we're going to normalize recognizing it and calling it out. Let the enemy know, I see you and you will not win. All right. That's just some quick food for thought. Y'all have a good day. I'll see y'all later. Bye.